Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
I assume Tom.
I love action movies, and there's nothing better than a good action film festival. We got Big Bad Film Fest 2 coming out August 23rd through the 25th, and I'm talking to the founders, Patrick Young and Powell Robinson. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Listen, man.
absolutely.
I am just sad I can't be there in person this year because I had already made a previous commitment before finding out about the film festival dates. But if I could do some remote stuff, I would be more than happy to do so because there's nothing better than a good action film.
We would agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, I mean, when you think action, you think big, loud, movies that deserve to be seen in a theater. So we're really excited for this upcoming weekend because it's a bunch of movies that you're not going to be able to see that way anywhere else.
Right. And there is a retrospective of Tomorrow Never Dies, so we get a classic film thrown in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're very, the community's so stunt focused, and you can't talk stunts without talking James Bond, right?
Right. You know, that reminds
and then
me.
we wanted to
No, go ahead.
And we wanted to specifically highlight Tomorrow Never Dies because I feel like within the pantheon of the better Bond films, it kind of gets overlooked a bit. I mean, I've seen a lot of theaters play GoldenEye, but not this one. And so, especially with the Hong Kong influence of it, Michelle Yeoh's presence, I think it's going to be a blast.
The funny thing is like earlier this year we had the movie The Fall Guy about a stuntman who becomes a bounty hunter based on the classic TV series. And I think the only downfall with the film was that they made it kind of a prequel the way they did with the A-Team instead of a sequel, and where Lee Majors was like the father that got his son involved in the business. I think that would have been a better take. But it's a movie about a stuntman starring an actor that uses like 8 different stuntmen. So like I have to see the humor in that.
Yeah. But I was really happy with the talk around that film because I mean the way it pushed the respect for stunt people and choreographers and that line of work. I mean, having that highlighted at the Oscars was really cool. Obviously, we think it deserves its own separate award. But to have watched the talk around this grow in the last 3 years, I mean, you look at Vulture's Stunt Awards and how everybody now talks about John Wick and all those stunts going viral. It's been really heartwarming.
Right. And so this has now led us to year 2 of the Big Bad Film Fest, bigger and badder.
Reloaded, if you will.
Reloaded. We can maybe we could save that for the 3rd installment and call it that. Or Electric Boogaloo if you want to go that route with breakdancing being in the Olympics. What was the catalyst to do an action film, film festival in Southern California? I know a couple of other cities have them, but it seems like LA was missing this.
2 parts. Yeah. The first is Patrick and I come from making horror movies together and going to a lot of horror festivals with these films. And there's just so many genre specific, like horror specific festivals you can name. And I couldn't tell you one action one that I could name, especially in LA at least. And it just seemed like a huge void for a genre that so many people love. And so we thought, well, if no one else is going to do it, I guess it's got to be us. Patrick has his own origin story for the actual specific idea for the fest came from, and I feel like I should let him tell that because it's always funny. But
yeah, it came around during COVID. I got really into day trading, which means I was up at like 4 a.m. every day. But the only interesting thing on TV at that time was the El Rey network, and they were just showing loads and loads of old Shaw Brother films, which I slowly fell in love with. And I wanted to find a place to talk about those films with, and that led me to the online action community with Twitter, people like One Perfect Headshot and Outlaw Vern and Brandon Struznig. who were already talking about these kinds of films and then extending them to some of the really great on the ground work being done in DTV action films, you know, the Isaac Florentines and Scott Adkins works of it all. And I really fell in love with those movies, and I just noticed that I was having the same kind of love and affect for those types of films as horror, and especially like the films at horror festivals. You go to these horror festivals, and you know, not every movie's great, but they all have like two or three really cool, you know, pieces of makeup or gore work or tension, or performances. And you know, action's the same way. If there's an action movie with one really cool kick, um I'm gonna watch it. I'll watch the whole thing for that one kick. And you know, I was like, there's obviously an audience for these. They they keep getting made. Um, and there's a lot of really great artistry being done within these really you know, semi-corporate movies. And we were looking to, I don't know, it just seemed like a really nice opportunity to celebrate them. So I just threw text to Powell like, hey, what if we started a film festival? Like,
Two people with absolutely no event planning besides the event of, I guess, making movies together, which is its own production entirely. But yeah, so just kind of figured it out from the ground up. We had some really great mentors along the way. Always have to bring up Kay at Salem Horror Fest for helping us out with some of the structure of this, and our friend Mitch at Soho Horror Fest. So
Looks like you guys are in good company, and there's an interesting crossover between horror and martial arts films. One that will pop into mind, I don't know necessarily it'll be horror, but supernatural for sure, would be Ninja 3, The Domination.
yeah, no, absolute classic. Yeah, no, I mean, even in one of the movies we're showing this year, The Night Comes for Us is just so bloody that I think for some people it would count as like horror adjacent. I mean, you watch stuff like Night Comes for Us, Kill, or even going back to something a little more ridiculous like Ricky O. And I think the violence overlap between the two genres often crosses over quite a bit.
Well, there are two movies that you have in the film festival that I'm most excited about would be Bangkok Dog and I'll Crush Y'all.
Hell yeah. Yeah, those are two of our premieres. I'll Crush Y'all is a West Coast premiere, super awesome Spanish brawler. And Bangkok Dog world premiere. And we're gonna have DY Sao and director Chaya Supanarat there in person, along with a bunch of they did one of the bigger sequence of the films shot out in LA while the rest of the movie shot in Thailand. But so much of it shot, a good bit of it shot in LA, so we're gonna have a lot of the cast and crew here. So it's gonna be a really cool environment.
You know, did you guys ever think at any point of partnering up with like a martial arts competition? Like, you know, Long Beach used to have the Long Beach International Karate Tournament where they'd do the floor exercises, and then they'd have point sparring and jujitsu at some point, and be like, oh, you know, we can do our film festival as part of this thing. Or was this always the idea to be a standalone?
we're slowly expanding the ring. Basically, we've been a little particular just because sort of you have to be at least a year one fest. We had to prove ourselves, kind of that it was actually a real thing that was going to happen. And then year two, we've sort of expanded the ring a little bit. We now have a few new sponsors, one of which kind of goes in line with what you're saying. It's the Martial Arts History Museum. We're doing an event with them in Glendale as well. And I think every year that we get a little bigger, we're going to be able to reach out to people like that. Where, I mean, in the beginning, Patrick and I had talked about doing a live stunt demonstration. It's just our facilities and what we had access to at the time was a little more limited. But if we could expand into that kind of thing, we talked about it from the start. So definitely on our minds.
I love it. And the Martial Arts Museum in Glendale, you know, they moved from Burbank to Glendale to a bigger facility, are fantastic.
So
it's a great space, and
sorry, Patrick,
you know, they host Dragon Fest every year, and we had a booth there. They're good people, and I'm really excited because the museum is just meant for the people who are coming to our films. But yeah, I think, you know, look, it's just Pal and I here, you know, organizing all this. So we want to make sure that we have a really good handle on, you know, what we're starting with here first before we get too big again. But I know like there's a really great action festival in London that also does, you know, panels and demonstrations and um, mixes a whole bunch of different types of events in with their festival. And I'd love to get to that kind of point where it's uh, a little bit more interactive and expansive. You know, I don't know if I want to go full Austin Film Conference or Austin Film Festival, like make it a whole conference out of it quite. I think the focus, at least, and the love for us is initially on the movies. But yeah, no, absolutely in the future, open to those kinds of burgeoning partnerships.
Right. And in the meantime, you can go to Dragon Fest and get your butt kicked by all these different martial arts experts that you paid a fee to do so.
Exactly.
No, Dragon Fest is fantastic. I have a friend, Michelle Manu. She's a master of Lua. She's the first woman ever to be given, you know, a title of a chief instructor. I'm not going to try to pronounce the Hawaiian name for it because I don't want to butcher it. So out of respect for them and their language, she's also a lawyer and an actress and like does a million other things. So she's been at Dragon Fest numerous times. So I know what to expect over there and the training that they go through with their seminars that people are willing to be a part of. So that's always exciting to see a film festival, you know, having a booth at an event like that.
Yeah, and the reaction was really cool. I mean, it was very clear, like, oh, these are our people. These, I mean, and that's why we got the booth in the first place. It's like these are the people we need to make aware that we exist, because that was the hardest lesson to learn last year. Is like, how do we make people, like, obviously these are movies people would want to see in a theater, but beyond posting on Twitter and Instagram, how do we make them aware of it? Which, you know, that was the biggest lesson we learned last year. And, you know, this year we've made it a much more compact, like we shaved a day off of the festival, which means we have 2 less films this year, which means we can give more marketing attention to each specific film. And just make sure more people are, you know that it's happening in the first place.
Right.
Which, you know, so another reason why we appreciate you doing this with us today.
Well, it's also great that like in the early stages, you don't want like year 1 to go from 4 days to, you know, and I'm not saying this to be disparaging to some of the bigger film festivals, like Santa Barbara's 2 weeks, you know, 14 days of movies. You guys don't have the longevity that Santa Barbara has had to go 14 days, or, you know, what's it called? You know, Newport Beach Film Festival 7 days or 8 days, I'm sorry. And then Palm Springs I think is 14 days, and San Diego International is 10 days. Like 3 days is perfect, especially from the get-go and starting out. You know, if you want to expand to almost a week long, that obviously seems like, you know, down the road, not year 2.
Right. And I really respect and enjoy festivals like Beyond Fest, where they just have 1 or 2 movies every day for a week and a half, you know, a 7 p.m. and a 10 p.m. But we had so many people last year tell us like, oh man, I'm not in LA, I'm out of town, but next year I'll come out and I want to fly out. And we've seen that this year. But if we had made it a week-long festival, you know, and some people can only travel for, you know, just the weekend, I don't want them to fly out and pay all that money just to see 3 movies. So we thought this is such a tight-knit community. I think making it kind of like just a packed, almost marathon event through the weekend, give people a nice bang for their buck, get in, get out, you know.
Does it make it a little more difficult in the selection process since you have limited space for, you know, say 9 films?
Yeah, it was tight this year. I mean, there were 3 more films we had that I would have loved to have also been able to show. But all that's led to at this point is confidence in our lineup. And the same goes with our shorts. You know, this year, you know, last year we had to source some of our shorts. We were first year fest. We didn't get you know, the most submissions in the world. This year, every single short was a submission, and honestly, I wish we could include more. Our shorts blocks overflowing is super kick-ass, and you know there were 2 more we wanted to fit in, so we threw them in front of other features.
A good
So
problem to
it's
have.
yeah,
Great.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough, but I'd rather have that problem than the like, there's two films that I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get anyone to go problem, you know.
Because there are those film festivals like, we're going to do a film festival, we're going to do it big, and then they only have 1 year, and they went, they were over ambitious, and nobody found out about them, nobody came. With you guys starting off smaller and then building up, obviously you've know what you were doing because you've already had the film background and starting making movies and expanding from there.
Definitely helped. I think we're also very aware, like Patrick said earlier, currently it's just the two of us. And I think the quality of a festival that expands over one weekend versus into 1 week, like the overall quality would drop because just the two of us trying to manage an 8-day fest with that many people coming we couldn't deliver the quality that we want to, that we can currently at this scale. So trying to be realistic with what we can do and give a legitimate festival experience to everyone who's coming.
Well, that's what I think everybody's looking forward to, August 23rd through the 25th. When you decided to put this on and the shift from, your horror background into a martial arts background, and there does seem to be a crossover in the audience, if not a direct crossover, at least the dedication of the fan base, because, I was at, I'll drop the name if you don't mind, Midsummer Scream. And, we found out Terrifier 3 is coming out, and the fan base just for that franchise has gone through the roof. Adam Green gave us 3 Hatchet movies. We've had, 14 Friday the 13th films. So there's so much coming out from the horror genre, and then reboots. Another Wolfman movie will be coming out, and so on and so forth. That there is a love for this. I mean, we got 5 original Kickboxer movies, and then the trilogy remake that's waiting for the 3rd film. So.
And there's last year we had the 8th Sniper movie come out, and they're only getting better. There's a lot of crossover in those approaches. I mean, even one of the movies that we premiered we had the West Coast premiere of this really awesome Iranian Finnish film called Layers of Lies. A really cool story there. Ramin Sarab wrote, directed, and starred in it. He shot a good amount of it in Iran. Broke his leg during one of the stunts. Got arrested during it because the film depicted a woman, like a badass woman, like hitting another man. And they're on the track right now to get an American remake already. And he's super excited about it. He won't be starring in the American remake, but he'll still be involved. And he's like, because of this new freedom, I'm gonna be able to get like everything I couldn't do in Iran, I can do here. And so they're just gonna make it bigger and bigger, which is really exciting.
Right. It doesn't have to be shot guerrilla style.
Exactly.
But when you guys get to hear stories like Ramin over there, who submitted a film to a festival in the United States, and you guys helped him get that traction, you obviously have to feel like you're on the right track and building, Big Bad Film Fest 2 to allow other filmmakers and creators that same opportunity.
Yeah, this platform, obviously there are a handful of other action festivals out there, but it's very cool to be among them and be one that helped a movie like Ramin's get put out like that. I mean, like I said earlier, Kay at Salem Horror Fest was such an inspiration for us, largely because our film Threshold only really got the attention it got because Kay picked us up and got us out there. And I know that for us being able to carry on that sort of promotional legacy for our alumni movies and things, it feels exactly like why we started this in the first place. We give a platform to movies that don't have necessarily the best platform all the time, and it's pretty cool to see it working.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I'm very grateful to our main partner Haya and Wellgo USA. I mean, those are the exact kind of people that the filmmakers making these shorts and features want to get in front of, and so I'm very grateful that they've lent their name to our festival. They've it's raised our pedigree in a way that's allowed us to become a lot more flexible in who we can talk to and who wants to talk to us. And I know I know that the filmmakers appreciate that too, because I mean beyond that part, the on the ground celebration and bringing all of the kinds of people who aren't going to be aware of these kinds of films but would want to see them all into one location, um, it feels really celebratory and unique, to the point where I remember after the Layers of Life screening last year, Ramin told us that, like, hey, as long as people like you are doing stuff like this, I'm gonna keep making films, which was just,
And then we
we're
just
like, fuck,
immediately started crying. So yeah,
yeah, and we're like, well, fuck, I guess we got to do it. We got to do a year two. So here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, well, just the sentiment in itself is often enough. The one thing we do want to bring up is that there is the Black Belt package for the film festival, or the Black Belt Pass, that includes opening night film and party, the all weekend access, and the short blocks. Is there, like, you have the Black Belt Pass, and then you have the Red Belt Pass. Is there like a Yellow Belt Pass, where things obviously start breaking down a little more? The White Belt Pass is tickets just to an individual film,
So yeah, this is our first year. We only did individual tickets because managing a pass in year one just seemed like one extra step we didn't want to deal with at the time, until we had the general process down. But yeah, the Black Belt is basically all in access the whole time, and plus a t-shirt and a program. And we knew that likely that one was going to be the one that most people would gravitate towards, just because, like, if you're going to go to an action festival, either like you're all in or you're not. The Red Belt Pass was because if people are still working during the week and they can't make it to the opening night on a Friday, but they want all the rest of the movies, at least they're not blowing the money on part of a pass they can't even use. I think, were we to expand the festival more, we could maybe make more tiers. But right now, since it's only Friday and the weekend, it seemed like you're either going all in or you're just going to do individual tickets again, which is also an option. You can get tickets to each film or event separately on the site as well. We thought about it, but it just didn't quite make sense to do like a just these movies thing, or just those, 'cause, like, we only have 7 total features, and so it's like you're jumping on board with us, or you're just going to see one. You know what I mean?
But I do like the concept of it for the Black Belt and Red Belt passes, and I do like that you also get, either a Black Belt or Red Belt keychain.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We've done enough festivals where you get a laminated card, and it's like, yeah, this is cool, but this festival is so specifically oriented towards one crowd. We figured this would be a fun way to separate ourselves a little bit.
So is it like a
Yeah,
patch
and
of a belt,
it's-
or is it like the rope that's tied up as a bracelet?
No, it's a little like cut of one of the belts on a keychain loop. And so your name, we also are just taking into, like, once you get a pass, we send you a form, you say which movies you want to come to. So we'll have your name there, but the keychain is just kind of the fun extra thing to bring in to show us what, pass you got.
Yeah.
That's a great concept, by the way. That is better than just like either a pin or like a laminated card or something. It's, a little added bonus to it.
Obviously, in future years, if more people are coming, we're probably going to have to get them labeled, so we know that someone didn't just buy an Amazon keychain pass and show up at the festival. But this year, it's a limited enough thing. We just thought it would be a fun add-on to the fest. So
Right, you guys will be like Disneyland. You'll have your own embroiders, and everyone gets their name embroidered in a Japanese or Chinese character.
at least the festival logo on the side. Like, it would be so fun to see that. But
That would actually be awesome. Like the festival logo embed, like a little patch on the strap of the belt. That'd be really cool.
we need one more sponsor. We need a little more, and then we can spring for that.
All right, Century, come on, guys, help them out. Get some martial arts equipment in there.
Yeah.
But partnering with Wellgo USA and then Haya is incredible, because they put out some amazing films. Like anytime I get an email and they're like, "Oh, we have screeners," and I just see Wellgo or Haya, I was like, "All right, send them on over. We got it. We got to see it."
Yep. Yeah. No, they've been very. I mean, they were with us last year too. That was a cold email. I mean, that's how 80% of this festival has been put together, is just cold emails to people. And it says a lot about the action community and action movie lovers that everyone is just, well, mostly everyone has just been automatically like, really receptive and supportive of this. Wellgo last year up front told me like, hey, we love supporting up and coming independent, things like this. I mean, you guys are in line with the types of movies that we're putting out. And we do focus a little bit on like the movies of theirs that are, because they have in the last few years built up a really nice array of films that come out in theaters. I know this weekend is, Walled In from them is going to be in theaters, which is awesome. Last week was Customs Frontline. 2 weeks before that was something else. Later this year, they'll have Baby Assassins 3, which I'm, or maybe early next year, which I'm super stoked about. And we focused a little bit more on their really high intense movies that maybe won't be able to be seen in theaters, if ever. Which has been really cool, especially because they also work a lot. And this year we'll be working with Aki, which is basically China's Netflix. But they have an incredible array of direct-to-digital action films that they're just constantly pumping out. And this year we have Eye for an Eye 2, which is, for my money, maybe the best action movie I've seen this year. On a character and choreography level, it's just fantastic. But has never been played in a theater anywhere. We'll be making the DCP for it. So, but yeah, all of these companies have been really excited and supportive. I mean, Welga will be sending over a bunch of merch and swag for giveaways that we're excited to throw at people, literally. Yeah.
Just the only request I have is that you don't bring in that boxing bag that measures how hard you can hit, because someone always gets their knuckles cut on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. We're not against it. We just want everybody to be safe. That's the big deal.
Deal. I mean, there's a group of people who are all traveling into town for this, and some of them are bringing their film equipment. Someone messaged me yesterday like, "Hey Patrick, like, do you think the venue would be cool with us shooting an action short on the premises?" And I was like, I think there's a parking garage across the street. You can
for insurance reasons, maybe we don't do it in the theater, but yeah.
Maybe the pickups, like the dialogue arguing back and forth, but not the actual fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get upset over a movie ticket and go and fight in the parking lot. Yeah,
right.
Please, no body slams in the theater.
It's the old school. Let's take it outside. Like they get into a fight over who stole somebody's popcorn and then go from there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm thrilled for you guys, especially with this. Is there plans for year 3 where there would be a online component where people would be able to buy streaming tickets, and then like say the Friday's opening night, they'll be able to the rest of the weekend watch it Saturday and Sunday, if they bought an online streaming ticket?
We're 16 days out as of this call from year 2. I think all of our mind is focused there. I know there have been some requests for some sort of virtual component. Bandwidth wise, didn't have it in us this year to figure also that out with distributors. I mean, like, to be completely honest, not all of them have delivered physical films for us to show this year yet. They will, but that's our focus, is making sure that this physical event can happen. And if this year goes really well and we can, bring in, 1 or 2 other people in to help us, maybe that's something that we can look at and expand our relationships with these distributors. I know, since the way our festival is set up, we are taking movies that are already going to be streaming and making them physical and on the big screen. That is the crutch of our festival. So I think both us and our distributors would be less excited about taking movies that will be available streaming guaranteed and making them stream.
Pre-streamed. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the way that we're running this is, we knew when we finished year 1 and we took 1 week to decompress and talk about it, we know everything we need to fix or do differently for year 2. And I think it's going to be the same thing. Is we're just solely focused on making this thing happen right now. And once we get to debrief about it, it'll be really clear what we need to pull off a bigger year 3, and we'll start planning on things like that then. But I think there's a lot of fun stuff that we've already talked about being able or wanting to do. So maybe we even tried for this year, but guaranteeing next year like a 35 mil showing of something would be really fun. We had a great partner year 1 with Secret Movie Club, and unfortunately with renovations to the theater, we couldn't have an event there this year, but we love them over there. And so hopefully an actual film print for next year would be really cool. Maybe we can find a Bruce Lee movie or something to show that way. It would be awesome.
That would be absolutely fantastic. Maybe eventual awards. Oh no, you do have an award ceremony.
Oh, this year we will, for the first time we will have awards this year. Yes.
For the first year in 2 years, we're gonna have
Yeah. No, because usually people, don't always have the award ceremony, but this one's gonna have award ceremony closing night. You guys are doing something right. You obviously are in good company with the people that helped you launch it, with the initial idea and give you some guidance on how to do it. The expansion or the 3-day weekend thing, the black belt and red belt passes, everything seems like it's going well at this point, and we're looking forward to what's going to happen between the 23rd and 25th. Is there one movie that, let's put it this way. I think Patrick told me already, but Powell hasn't. The like, if I can only get a ticket to see one film on either Saturday or Sunday, because again, somebody's working and can't make it for Eye for an Eye 2. But just the one, what's the flick that they got to check out?
It's a great question. It's tough because the nostalgia side of me is like, you gotta see Bond. Like, it's like when you see this particular Bond movie in the theater again? It just might not happen for a while. So it's I've been leaning that way in the other interviews we've done. It's just, because again, a lot of these features that we get luckily are getting guaranteed streaming releases. So I know those will be watchable forever, and like maybe they'll show at a festival again or something. But Bond movies are rarer to get as independent screenings, and so I'd maybe lean that way. But man, I think Bangkok Dog is going to kick ass in a theater, and especially with the crowd we've got. Like, there won't be many other in-person experiences to see it with like half the cast and crew. I mean, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Like having you, I saw actually there, and the director Chai there. Like, that's so cool. Those would probably be my 2 picks. But Night Comes for Us is such a fucking barn burner. It's gonna be so epic to see them in the theater that it's tough for me to say. But I would lean Tomorrow Never Dies or Bangkok Dog, I think.
Well, let's go with Bangkok Dog because no one's seen that one yet.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it'd be Life After Fighting. It's that screening will have one of the stars there. It's a movie that last 50 minutes is fucking incredible. And it's a movie that didn't have a festival run, kind of just got dumped on Amazon, and it's been the community of people who love these movies and online that have championed it and raised its profile. And honestly, the post-release reaction is what made it enticing, or made us realize like, oh, this is a movie people want to see on the big screen. And so we're gonna have that showing with a Q&A with Eddie Arazola, an awesome boxer and martial artist, conducted by the Action for Everyone podcast. And that's a movie where like I can think of 10 individual moments off the top of my head where like, oh, I want to see that with like 60 other people. I want to feel that energy. And then after the screening, there's can't say what, but there's gonna be a special little treat for everyone in the audience. A little surprise teaser of something.
All right, so long as it's a good surprise and not a jump scare, we're good to go.
It's gonna be a great surprise.
Gentlemen, since the festival runs from August 23rd through August 25th, and you guys also make your own horror movies, is there a movie of yours coming out after the festival that we should keep an eye open for come Halloween?
So we got 2 things. So one has already come out, but it was this year, and it was a movie that we produced called Wild Eyed and Wicked. One of our closest friends, He lives on a farm out in Pennsylvania. We went to film school with him, and it was his first feature, and so we had to go out there and make that with him. And so that's out now. And then I've got one. It's not the 15th yet. I can't say it, but got a movie that's closing out Fantastic Fest that I'm very excited about. And will be available later in October.
I love it.
So
well, keep me posted on that when it comes out. After the announcement's officially been made, so we can do a review and a chat about the film and its production as well.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, Big Bad Fest 2, August 23rd through August 25th in the city of Glendale. Website is bigbadfilm.com. Where can we find the two of you on social media if we want to connect with you and as well as the festival?
Patrick.
Nope.
I'm primarily on Instagram at Powell Robinson, just my name. Pretty easy to find me. I run away from Twitter frequently. I think it scares me. So Patrick is our Twitter guru, so I'll let him take it from there.
Yeah, mostly on Twitter at Just Young Enough, and then our festival is also on Twitter at Big Bad Film Fest, and then on Instagram @BigBad_Film Fest.
Very, very difficult, I know.
Gentlemen, it's been a great pleasure. I will try to do some remote stuff. I'll send you a list of a couple of the films that I'd like to check out if they're willing.
Oh yeah,
to give me
and feel
advanced
free
screenings.
to. Yeah, well, all of our shorts have said like, hey, if people want to watch or give thoughts on that too. Our shorts this year are fucking awesome, and I really hope we can pack that crowd.
Yeah.
This is my problem with shorts, and is that if the shorts are fantastic, I want the full length feature.
Yeah.
And if they're awful, a 10-minute short feels like 10 hours. So, but from
Luckily,
what I'm
with
gathering
action
is that I
shorts-
want all of them to be turned into features.
Yeah, these all have elements like that where they've built. It's not just a stunt reel specifically. Like, there's definitely narrative built on the front and back end of almost all these, and so it's fun to see just all these different little narratives put back to back. It's a cool lineup.
I love it. Powell Robinson, Patrick Young, thank you so much for your time. Again, Big Bad Film Fest 2, August 23rd through 25th. Congratulations. Can't wait to see and be there in person for year 3.
Oh yeah.